Hey everyone, welcome back. I hope you guys had a great holiday weekend. It's Monday now. The markets are closed, so we're going to take a look at a couple stories. Well, actually one story. The miners were shutting down over this past weekend because of this winter storm that we had. So we'll look at that. We'll also take a look at Bitcoin and miners in 3 years. This is kind of my thinking of where things are going to go in the next bull run and what my expectations are for this. These are just rough estimates right now. Things are going to obviously change in that, but we'll take a look at that. We'll also take a look at Bitcoin right now, Ethereum, see what's going on there. Markets are closed, like I said before. And we'll look at the Bitcoin miners as well, see how they did compared to Bitcoin for the past week. We'll do analysis on that, and we'll call it a day. I think that's going to be it. So as always, not financial advice, for entertainment only. Do your own research, and don't fall for scams and spam posts. Get reported and deleted. I'm invested in the following coins and companies for full disclosure. And yes, my voice is feeling much better. Thank you for all the well wishes. And if you enjoy this type of content, hit the like button, subscribe, helps me out tremendously. Okay, so let's get into it here. So Bitcoin right now is at 16,815. We did have a down day yesterday. We were down 0.05%, not that bad. Saturday, we were up 0.36%, so we were up a little bit. But for the most part, you can see here we're just trading sideways here in the last, 5-6 days. And there's not much going on. We don't know which direction we want to go into. Looking at the 4-hour chart, we can see here that the RSI is at 49 right now, and it is also kind of flat here. Price is also flat, so there's no real direction there. On the 1-hour chart, RSI has come down a little bit to 44. Last time we were around here, excuse me, was right around, I would say maybe here. Price was at about the same spot. So no real direction in the 1-hour chart either. Ethereum now was, let's see here. On the daily, it was down yesterday, 0.18%. Saturday, it was up 0.05%. Excuse me. So it is same thing, no real direction as far as which way it wants to go on the daily chart. 4-hour chart is going to be probably the same. Yeah, I mean, we're flat. 1-hour chart, let's see here, our size is at 43. Last time we were here was back here. Price was actually at that point a little higher right now. So really no indication as far as which way it wants to go right now. I think with the holidays and everything else, people are just sitting on the sidelines right now and also maybe doing some tax loss harvesting as well. So I think once this new year gets over with, maybe then we'll start getting into more of a bullish trend. But we may have, I'm guessing, maybe 6 more months of this kind of depressed sentiment in Bitcoin and Ethereum, especially until the Fed stops raising interest rates, which I think might be sometime at the end of the first half of the year in 2023. If that happens, then I think we will start going back up. But we'll take a look at all that as well. And then one of the stories that we have to talk about is the network hash rate. Network hash rate has come down significantly here over the weekend. I'll take a look at the story here shortly, but right now on the 7-day average, we are way down to 229. Last time we were back here was in September, looks like. And then if we look at the 1-day average, we can see that we dropped way down to approximately 156 million, which last time we were at that point was back here in July. So that was a huge decrease in it. And let's take a look at the story on it right now. So Bitcoin miners powered off as winter storm battered North America. We have miners across the U.S. powered down over the weekend as a powerful storm swept across North America. We were hit by it. We had some really frigid temperatures here in the Great Lakes area. The Bitcoin mining hash rate, a measure of computing power on the blockchain, dropped about 100 exahash per second, or 40% to 156 exahash between December 21st and December 24th. It returned to about 250 on December 25th. So the practice is curtailment, which is touted as a way for miners to help electricity grids. Miners' steady demand that ensures power producers are bringing revenues to offset costs, but can power off when demand of other sources is high, especially like we have right now where it's really cold, such as during winter storms, which is what we experienced. Foundry USA, the biggest mining pool in the U.S., lost more than half of its hash rate on December 23rd, the biggest loss of any major pool, according to statistics from information platform Mining Pool Stats. Foundry is owned by CoinDesk parent company Digital Currency Group. Some of the U.S. biggest miners also curtailed operations. These include Riot Blockchain and Core Scientific, which is undergoing Chapter 11 bankruptcy. So if we look at it on Core Scientific, we can definitely see a huge drop here. So this was on December 25th, they were at 48.6. December 24th, they only mined 30.5 BTC that day. And if we go back to December 23rd, 37.7 BTC. So can see that decline happening here through December 24th, and they started going back up. And then, let's see here, they were on, when was this? December 23rd, they were at 31.9. So it's kind of been up and down a little bit here. But we can obviously see the impact that the storm has had on the network. But Bitcoin still keeps on churning along. So even though we had a huge decrease in the hash rate network, Bitcoin's, the transaction time slowed a little bit, but it also continued to work otherwise. So that was a good thing there. Okay. So that's just a quick story that I wanted to cover with you guys on this one. Then I was looking for a chart that showed us the yearly candles. There were some questions in the comments about potentially having another red year after this one. So I wanted to see how it all stacked up in the past. And this is going back all the way to 2009 when Bitcoin just started. And we can see here that we've had kind of almost like a trend happening here in the last at least 6 years. We can see here in 2010 we were green, 2011 we were green, 2012 we were green, 2013 we were green, and then 2014 we were red. Then we had 3 years of green, one red right after the halving event, and then we had another 3 green years, and then a red year. So I plugged in all the data here that was provided by these, the open, the high, the low, and the close, and I did some analysis on it. I think I did this yesterday. I was a little bit bored, had a little bit of time, so I wanted to kind of take a look at it, and here's what I came up with. So it's the same data as that chart is, but I wanted to see if there's a pattern of happening or evolving in Bitcoin over the last 10, 12 years. And there is a little bit of a pattern. It looks like, if we just look at the numbers here, these are the open and high percentage. So where it opened and the high for it for the year. And we can see that the numbers have been coming down here over the years. After each halving event, we get less of a percentage gain following it, and it continues to decrease each time we have a halving event. The other thing, as you can see here, for the first 4 years or first 3 years, from 2011 2013, so from the open of 2011 to the high of 2013, we went up 420,000 roughly on Bitcoin price. After that, same thing here, from the open of 2015 to the high of 2017, which was 19,000, we went up almost 6,000%. So huge decrease in the percentage gains here. And then following this last halving event that we had, so 2021, the high was 67,000 roughly, and we opened up at 3,747. We went up only 1,702% on that. And then my guess is we're going to continue to see a decrease in the percentage gains as the Bitcoin price continues to go up in value. So my estimates right now, I'm just doing kind of an estimate on it. I'm looking to maybe get to about 1,028% gains here from possibly the 16,800 mark, which is going to be the open for 2023. Don't know where the high is, but I just have it for the close potentially of 189,000 in 3 years. So we wouldn't get there for at least a couple more years. Based on my math here, and the math that I did was taking the averages of those same time periods after we had a red year. So 2015 and 2019, taking the average of it and reducing it by 1/3. So whatever that average is was, I reduced it by 1/3 to come up with 41.8% for that. The following year, I did the same thing, taking the averages here and reducing it by 1/3. And then on the third year, I did it actually a little bit more drastically of a reduction here. And the reason for that is we had, in 2017, we had a 1,334% increase, while last year we only had a 59% increase in the price of Bitcoin. So we could possibly be up much higher than the 230% in the year following the halving event, right? 2024 is the halving event, and then typically Bitcoin has done really well after it. If we look at it here, it was up 1,334, 2013, it was up 5,000, and then this year was kind of a weird year, or 2021, where we had the Tesla FUD, right? They came out saying, they're going to accept Bitcoin, then they're not going to accept Bitcoin because of the carbon footprint of the Bitcoin miners. We had the China ban, and then we also had the inflation happen, towards the end of the year. Had those things not happened, I think we would have gone up much higher in Bitcoin price. We possibly could have gone above 100,000, if not a little bit more. But because of those things, I think that kept the appreciation of Bitcoin down substantially. So I just put it down at 230% potential gains in 2025 if it works out that way. That gives us the gains of approximately 1,000%. It could go up much higher than that, but I'm thinking that this year, 2023, we're going to be possibly going down a little bit more. And the reason I think that is looking at the chart here. You can see it on this one from 2014 to 2015. We actually went down further on the year. So we opened up at 318 and we went down to $165 on it and then went back up. We had the same thing here a little bit. We went down just a little bit on it. We opened up at 3,743 and we reached a low of 3,375. So we may have the same thing repeat. Now, we don't know if it's going to happen. We're just looking at historical data here. But I'm guessing that we may have, at least, like I said, the first 6 months are still going to be kind of flat, if not trending downwards on Bitcoin, because the Fed is still not done raising interest rates. That's going to weigh on it. I think when that happens, potentially, then we may start going back up in possibly the second half part of the year. That's why I'm limiting it to only getting us to maybe 23, maybe 30,000, somewhere around there. That's kind of my guess on Bitcoin, if that happens. Unless we get some catalyst that, propels it really, really, really far up. Then into 2024, we're getting a nice little jump here to 57,000 potentially. Maybe more than that. We may, get to a new all-time high. That's kind of the price range that I'm at right now. And then in 2025, we reach a new all-time high potentially of, I would say, 190 is, I think, doable. I'm guessing anywhere between maybe 150,000 to 250,000 would be a fair look at it, unless some economic events happen that forces us to have these kind of issues like we had here. You can also see here that we had the Mt. Gox in June of 2011. That also limited the price appreciation going into next year, where we were only up 218. I think otherwise that would have been higher than that as well. So we do have some things that have an effect on Bitcoin, and it just all depends on when they happen and what kind of effect it has on it. So we can't really forecast those things. But based on the numbers, I do think that we will see a decline in the amount of percentage gains in the next 3 years compared to the previous cycles. And I think that's going to continue going forward. So after this cycle, I think we might be going back, even lower than this. We might be at 750% gain, 500% gain, something like that. As long as we're getting gains, Bitcoin is going up in price, it's going to still have drastic price movements on Bitcoin, potentially getting us to that 1 million mark. But I think it won't be until maybe at the end of this decade. The way things are looking right now. So we still have a ways to go. But I am hoping that I get proved wrong on this. I hope it goes, to the moon like the rest of you guys hope. But based on this, we're looking at basically a 10x increase here from the beginning of 2023 to the end of 2025, which is going to be possibly this end of the bull run. And then we're going to get into another bear market here in 2026, potentially. We don't know. We're just going off this data that we do have here. Okay. So this is not financial advice. This is kind of a best guess estimate right now. So if we know we're going up 10% on Bitcoin potentially, or 10x, we could also pretty much think that we're going to do the same thing with the miners. So I just created a quick table here to look at the miners, see where they would be at 10x. Now we do know that the miners, when Bitcoin goes up 1,000%, some of these miners go up 3,000, 4,000, 5,000%. So they do even better than Bitcoin does, right? They're kind of like a margin, not margin, what's the word I'm looking for? A multiple of Bitcoin, I guess you could say. Okay, so I just put down 10x, 15x, and 20x. I think some of these might even do better than that. We've seen Riot, Marathon, others do close to 30x, 40x compared to Bitcoin. So that's not out of the question. This is being a little bit more conservative on it. So I think within the next 3 years, potentially, we may be above this, we may be below this. It all depends on where the economy is at, economic situation, worldwide situation, whatever's going on in the world will have an impact on this as well. So I'm looking at Hive potentially being at between $15.90 to $31.80, Bitfarms between $4.10 to $8.20, Argo between $5.40 to $10.80, CleanSpark between $19.70 and $39, DigiHost between 4 and 8, DMG between $1.20 and $2.40, Hut 8 between $8.60 and $17.20, Marathon between $36.20 and $72.40. This is going to be getting them back to their all-time high, I think, was around $80. So that's not too far off from that. I think that is definitely doable for these guys. Riot, same thing, $36.80 to $73.60, Mawson $230 to $460, Iris between $11.90 and $23.80, core between $1.10 and $2.20. That's if they survive right now. They could go much higher than that if they get out of this bankruptcy thing. And as long as the stock is still able to trade. And the same thing would go, I think, for Iris. Iris is in a little bit of pain right now, along with Mawson. So we'll see if those guys can weather the storm. Sphere from $3 to $6. Luxfolio is, well, they're flat right now, but I think they could go up higher. They're less than a penny right now. They're like less than half a penny even. So we'll see if they can weather the storm as well. Bit Digital between $6.10 and $12.20. Stronghold between $4.60 and $9.20. Greenwich between $2.50 and $5. And it could obviously be higher than that. Soluna $3.60 and $7.20. And TeraWolf between $7.70 and $15.40. It also depends on where they're going to grow. If they're going to grow more in the next couple of years, they're going to possibly generate more income as well. So there's a lot of variables in here. So this is just kind of a, like I said, best guess estimate and kind of price ranges where you could kind of possibly think they might be at within the next 3 years. They could be a lot higher. They could be also a lot lower. We just don't know. But this is kind of my thinking in the next 3 years if we end up having a repeat of a nice 3-year bull run here happening. But like I said, I don't think it's going to happen the first half of the year. I could be wrong. I hope I'm proven wrong. But the way things are looking right now, I just think it's going to be a tough challenge for us to be in the green the first part of the year. Second part, I think, is going to be, there's more possibility of that happening. So just want to point that out to you guys. Let me know what you guys think of this, whether you guys agree or not on the data, and we'll see where we end up at. But this will be obviously interesting to see. In my bear case scenario that I did prediction this year, beginning of the year, I said in the bear scenario, Bitcoin would be around 13,500, and the network hash rate came in at 300 million hashes, which was pretty close. We did reach 300 million at one point on the network hash rate. If we look at it here, let's see here, right there, network hash rate, we reached it right there, 316 million. So we did reach that, but we have come back down. We haven't reached the 13.5 mark yet on Bitcoin. I don't think we're going to see that by the end of the year, so it's not too far off from where I expected it to be in the bear market case by the end of the year. So we'll see if those numbers come anywhere near my projections or predictions or guesses, whatever you want to call them. But we'll see in the years to come. I'll leave this here. I'll provide this to my Patreon members as always, and then we can kind of look at it to see how close or how far off I was on my estimate on where Bitcoin could possibly be within the next 3 years. Okay. So we'll leave that there. And that is it. Let me know what you guys think of this, as always, whether you agree, disagree, you think it's going to be higher, lower, or what do you think of the data here. Love to hear you guys' feedback on it. Next, really quick, we're just going to go into the miners here. Like I said, look at what happened this week. So TeraWolf was up 24.19%. CleanSpark was up 4.23%. Greenwich was flat. Bitcoin was actually down 2.83%. And Riot was down. Argo was down. Marathon was down. Everybody else was down here. The worst one was Core Scientific, down 52%. And you guys can see the data here as well. You can take a look at it, freeze the frame, take a screenshot of it, then you can look at it. I'm not going to go over it all, but we will just take a quick peek at it here, just to show you guys the graph, how it looks on it. We already covered the 1 week. Let's take a look at the 4 week as well, really quick. And Bitcoin is up 0.76% on the 4 week. Everybody else did worse. Greenwich is down the worst, 56%, followed by Soluna, Argo, Marathon, Bit Digital, DigiHost, Hut, Bitfarms. You guys can look at the numbers here as well. I'm not going to bore you with all the details. Looking at the 8 week here really quick as well. We got Bitcoin down 19, Argo's down 73%, so they're down the most, followed by Greenwich, Marathon, Soluna, Hut 8, Iris, Bitfarms, Mawson, DigiHost, Hive, and so on. So there's that one. And finally, let's take a look at the 12 week descending as well. And we'll kind of call it a day here. So Bitcoin's down 14.3. Everybody else is down worse. Core Scientific is down 91, followed by Argo, Greenwich, Soluna, Iris, Marathon, Bitfarms, Hive, Hut 8, and so on. So we have been in a bit of a pain period here in the last couple months. And looking at the whole chart here for all the miners, we can see here that we have had plenty of red weeks here, very few green weeks to count. And hopefully that will change going into 2023, which is only about a week away. So that is it. Let me know what you guys thought of all this and whether or not you agree with my estimates for the next 3 years. Do you think we're going to be much higher than that? Do you think we're going to be much lower with Bitcoin and the Bitcoin miners on it? But yeah, we'll see where we end up at. So that is it. Tomorrow, markets are going to be open back up. We still have a couple miners that haven't reported their November numbers, which is concerning. Let's take a look at it here really quick. Miner comparison. Who are we still missing? We are missing, let's see here. We are missing Greenwich still, Core, and Soluna looks like. So Core, it looks like, I don't know if they're going to be providing those anytime soon because they are going through the bankruptcy right now. I think they have more important things on their mind than providing that, but we'll see. It would be nice for them to provide it. And yeah, we'll see where it goes. So that is it. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. Spreadsheet is going to be available to my Patreon members as always. Thank you to everyone there for their continued support. Thank you so much for watching. Love you all. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.